Welcome back to another episode of the Todd Durkin Impact Show. I hope your day is off to a fantastic start. I hope you're ready to have the next 45 minutes or so. Maybe we'll make it short and sweet today because it's a Q&A episode. And let me tell you what, I'm feeling a little extra juice, a little fired up. I just got my great workout in. I got about 25 minutes of a little bit of steady state cardio, and I crushed an interval circuit. I'm talking kettlebell swings. I'm talking a little bit of course, push-ups and bench press, and a little bit of TRX rows. 15 minutes of rocking and rolling time. So let me tell you what, there's nothing like when you get a little interval training in, get the kettlebell swinging, get a little bit of biceps at the end to finish a little arm farm. Woo, fired up. Hey, speaking of gratitude and thankful, the body is moving and the brain is alive, is huge thank you for all of you for sharing the Pump and Pray episode last week. I'm not sure why, but so many of you love when I share some snippets from my talks that I've been doing. So thank you for your shares. Thank you for your comments and your likes. Always appreciated on the Impact Show. Also, the Impact Scholarships are available. So remember, applications, just hop over to todddurkin.com, todddurkin.com, and check out all of the Impact Scholarships. So if you know a graduating high school senior who's going to college next year, applications are available now until the second week of May 12th. So take a look at all that stuff. And then lastly, before we dive into Q&A today, is I've been doing a lot more texting with my text community. So if you are not signed up, it's completely free. Make sure you sign up. All you got to do is subscribe for free. And here's the number. And I'll put it in the show notes as well. But remember the number, or just right now, put it in your notes, 619-304-2216. 619-304-2216. Yes, that's really me. That's my cell number. I will respond to you. Yes, it's me who will respond. If you want to check it out, try it. And I'm taking your questions, and these are where I'm sharing my 5 questions today that I got from community. Thank you, all of you in your community and Instagram. So thank you if you shot over a question via my text community or Instagram. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you are not signed up, I'm delivering more motivation, inspiration, and content through my exclusive text community. It's free. So get involved. 619-304-2216 on that. With that being said, you're going to subscribe to the text community. The scholarships are available. We have over $10,000 in scholarship money available. That's a lot of money. And thank you for all who have in some way, shape, or form either donated. It's a 501c3, so you get a tax write-off. Or if you at some of our sales that we'll have a portion go back to the Impact Foundation. So we have over $10,000 going out in scholarship in May, but you got to apply here in the next several weeks. So the questions coming in today, I got 5. Are you ready to rock and roll? And the questions coming in are going to be this. One's around, the first one's going to be a throwback question relative to college. The second question is, if you could give your 18-year-old one piece of advice, what would it be? The third question I'm going to define is, how would you define success? The fourth one is my top 5 favorite books. That's a good question right there. And the fifth question is someone who's getting ready for surgery needs some help eradicating pain and depression. And I'm going to dive into that. So 5 questions, rapid fire time. Let's go there right now. So question number 1 comes from my good friend, Steve Wiley. I actually went to college at William & Mary with Steve Wiley. He DM'd me on Instagram at Stephen Brett Wiley, at Stephen Brett Wiley. And he says this, and Wiley was a heck of a linebacker, by the way. I have a throwback question relative to 3 people who influenced me, and I'm sure you, from your days at William & Mary. What are the top leadership and or life lessons that you took from these 3 people? Coach Jimmye Laycock, who was the head football coach for all 5 of my years. Father Kelly, who was the campus priest at St. Bede's Church. And Ernestine. Ernestine was the cafeteria worker who was a mainstay at William & Mary. So here are the 3 people and my top leadership and life lessons from them. Coach Laycock. What did I learn from him? I spent 5 years, as I said. What I learned from Coach Laycock, I'll give you 2. If you have to think twice about it, you probably shouldn't do it. Let me repeat that. If you have to think twice about it, you probably shouldn't do it. Now, let's step back. Coach Laycock is speaking to a bunch of 18 to 23-year-old men about to go to spring break. Many go to Florida. And he was always right the day before, that Thursday before that spring break next week, would have a team meeting and bring everyone, all 100 guys in. And he's like, nothing good happens after midnight. And if you got to think twice about it, you probably shouldn't do it. I thought that was, I didn't think it was profound at the time, but now with kids and folks who I mentor who are young, it's a really good piece of wisdom on that. So those of you who are counseling or coaching kids, if you got to think twice about it, you probably shouldn't do it, right? And the second one, and this is one I would share is, and I've shared it before, but a handshake tells a lot about a man or woman. A handshake tells a lot about a man or woman. I remember my dad first taught me that, and reinforced by Coach Laycock. See, there are people who have firm handshakes, and there are people who have weak jellyfish handshakes. Don't have a weak jellyfish handshake. Can you hear me, kiddos? Can you hear me, parents? Well, I've been talking to these kids a lot lately, but I'm talking to you parents too. You got an interview? There's nothing worse than having an interviewee come in and they got a weak handshake. Have a firm handshake, look him in the eye and say, thank you. It's so great to be here today. I can't wait to spend time with you today. Or whatever it's going to be, a firm handshake tells a lot about someone. Now, I'm not telling you to squeeze them and break their bones in their hand, but you can communicate a lot with your hands. The warmth, the compassion, the empathy, the love, the confidence that comes through touch is really important. So make sure that your handshakes really exude everything that is about you. Don't have a jellyfish handshake. Have a firm handshake. So Coach Laycock taught me those two lessons. Father Kelly, the campus pastor for St. Bede's Catholic Church. Oh, man. Father Kelly. Man, oh, man. I'm getting emotional talking about Father Kelly. Steve Wiley, thank you for this question. Because I met Father Kelly on the first day that I checked in as a freshman, moving down from New Jersey, 7 hours down to William Mary. And I remember I was with my father. We went to the campus mass. I've never been to a mass growing up Catholic. I'd never been to a mass with so many young people before in my life. And it was awesome. And Father Kelly was sharing topics that were so relevant to college age kids and kids moving away. And I remember, man, I was like, wow, this is a really charismatic priest that I have never heard this before. And I was excited, and he impacted me greatly in the 5 years that I was at William Mary. I do know this, that after our first football game, I remember seeing my father outside the locker room, and I remember Father Kelly, who discipled a lot of our football players and developed a strong friendship with him. He was awesome at racquetball. He'd actually teach me racquetball, take me down there, and here I was running around like a chicken without a head, and he's in the middle of the court just boop, 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 hitting the ball. And have you ever played someone that's really good at racquetball? They don't even really sweat that much. They're so skilled. They're having you run around. It was a great workout. But, man, he used to crush me. And I remember my sophomore year in college, Father Kelly invited me to go on a mission trip to Haiti. I didn't know where Haiti was, but I soon learned that Haiti was the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And going there for a week, and the church raised money, and I went to Haiti for a week on spring break that one year. And I remember the experience because it impacted me to this day of seeing some of the most destitute people on the planet, yet we're so spiritually nourished and filled. 2-3 hour church services on a Sunday. They're dancing in the aisles and their spirits were just glowing. I'm like, man, how can we in the U.S. be such a rich country so many times, but be so poor in spirit, right? And Father Kelly, he exposed me to that. And then my junior year, we had this Catholic retreat. And I still remember it was in southwestern Virginia. And it was so deep and soulful. As a matter of fact, it was so powerful that I remember I wrote a handwritten letter. Emails didn't exist yet, and neither did text messages because phones didn't exist, at least ones without a wire. I remember I handwrote a letter to my father and told him how close I was to God my junior year. And I felt so close in my relationship and my walk with God in that time. And isn't it interesting that 3 weeks later is when my father had a massive heart attack and died? And now I went from the highest of highs in my faith walk to my lowest of lows of, God, how can you take my father? I'm at that time 20 years old, and I questioned my faith. And who was there? Father Kelly. Father Kelly talking me through it after Mass, and just playing racquetball and invite me to lunch to, go out to the local restaurant to talk about my faith, because I was questioning God and all that could happen. And, you talk about a priest or a pastor or a minister or a rabbi. He was there all the time, and he talked with me, and he shared about death. And when you're a believer, that how you go to heaven and all the things I always believed, but now I had to have real faith. And then that's what I'm going to share on Father Kelly is he got me a job. He got me a job. Now, back in the day, when you're a scholarship athlete, you couldn't work. So I was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship to William & Mary, but you couldn't work because it was against the rules. But Father Kelly got me a job through the church. I used to stack chairs after the Mass on Sunday. All the chairs in the church I had to stack, $75 that I used to get on Sundays for stacking chairs. And I was so grateful to have spending money. $75 in your wallet when you're in college is a lot of money. Back then, I felt rich. But man, I love that guy because I where was it stacking, a couple hundred chairs. It took me probably 40. That's a good job, right? I do know that the Catholic Church needs some great leaders and young leaders and priests who are great men. And right now, as a man who is a man of faith, regardless of your denomination, I was raised Catholic. And now as a man who people are like, what are you? I'm like, I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I believe Jesus died and rose for our sins. And I've had some really, really instrumental faith-based pastors, priests, and men and women of God. And Father Kelly is right up there with, Miles McPherson and Pastor Jeremiah and Gino Mingo and people who have influenced me greatly as well. So thanks for getting me a job, Father Kelly, and God rest his soul. He has since passed, but he has impacted me. And the last one, Steve Wiley, you asked great. These are great questions. I've never shared that. The last one's Ernestine Jackson. Whoa. She was the cafeteria worker who greeted us every single morning. Hi, sugar. How are you today? I'm like, I would show up to breakfast just to hear Ernestine give me a greeting of, hi, sugar Todd. How are you today? With that Southern drawl. Man, she'd ask me about life. How is school going? And you know what? She didn't just do that with me. She did it with every single student. And you think about this. What a smile, what a cheerful heart, what a soul can do, regardless of your title or role. What an impact that Ernestine Jackson had on so many people, including me. And she was the one who greeted you at the cafeteria and checked your meal card in. People are like, why you go, you have 21 meals. I didn't miss a meal. I didn't miss some breakfast. Like, why are you getting up at 7 o'clock in college? I'm like, because the way that Ernestine Jackson greeted me made me feel like $1 million. So, Steve Wiley, thanks for the questions. Great lessons from Ernestine about smiling and saying, hi, sugar, how are you today? And then Coach Laycock about the firm handshake and thinking twice about something on that. Next question, number 2, Mason Thompson, 69. Thank you. If you could give your 18-year-old one piece of advice, what would it be? Mason Thompson, great question. And Mason's someone who I've coached over the years, but I have given this wisdom before, but I'm going to change it today, because what I always share is I would say that back then at 18, going to college, I wish I didn't care so much about what other people thought. I would just do what I thought was the right thing, because I was always trying to please others. But here's what I would say today, where I'm at, especially this spring here, that stop putting so much pressure on yourself to choose the perfect college for you. like there's no one perfect college. Yo, 18-year-olds going off to college and putting all your pressure. You got to go to a great school. I got to go to this school. It's going to make me or break me. I would say don't put the pressure on yourself that you got to go to the perfect college or this one school. There isn't just one college or university for you. It's not going to determine your success. Let me repeat, the college or university that you go to is not going to determine your success. I just shared all those things about William and Mary. I love William and Mary. I love the people at William and Mary. And guess what? There's great people all over the place. So yeah, it's beloved. William and Mary is special in my heart. But there's a lot of great places. And here's what I learned. Okay, back to college. Professor Smith, your network is your net worth. Your net worth is determined by your network. So repeat after me. Your network is your net worth. So I don't care if you're 18 or you're 55. Your network is your net worth. I'd also say this, based on whatever college you go to, your environment is everything. Regardless of your age, including age 18, your environment, set yourself up for success. Number 3, be cool to the non-cool crowd. Yo, 18-year-olds, be cool to the non-cool crowd. You got me? Like, don't just be in your own friend group. Man, I see it all the time. You just got your friend group and it's cliquey. Stop. Be cool to the non-cool crowd. Everybody, not just 18-year-olds and high schoolers, everyone, like it's about extending yourself outside your comfort zone. And then what else would I tell my 18-year-old self? Go to church even more. Go to temple even more. Go deeper in your search for God. Again, I said this last week, but I don't know how young adults do it today without seeking a deeper relationship with God. I don't know how you do it. And guys, in high school, I was a Eucharistic minister. When I'd go play a football game, not always Friday night, sometimes on Saturdays, I'd play a football game on Saturday, and I'd have at 5:15 Mass at Sacred Heart in Bay Head, New Jersey. I was a Eucharistic minister. But just one day at church isn't enough. Like, you got to develop a relationship. It's not about the religion. It's about the relationship you develop with God. And the last thing, Mason Thompson, thank you. It's habits and choices are everything. 18-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds. Habits and choices are everything. The choices you make today, this week, and this weekend are everything. They'll set you up for success. So if you want more on this, I had a whole episode 271 of the podcast. I share 6 things I would tell my younger self. Go check out episode 271. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Third question of 5, Luke Bryan. Is that the Luke Bryan? Like the singer, the country singer? Luke Bryan, Z33. How would you define success? It's a good question. Success, because it's changed. I would say success in my 20s and 30s and even 40s was very much achievement oriented. Very much achievement oriented. Accolades and books written and setting the family up for success and helping coaches or help coaching kids and athletes and the world's best athletes to success and greatness. And in some ways, I'm still wired that way. Many of you probably are and can relate. But there's a deeper level of success that I believe we, or at least me, is seeking on a constant basis now. And it's more about happiness and joy and peace and fulfillment. I am measuring my success more on fulfillment. And am I happy? Am I at peace? Am I joyful in my heart? Am I successful in my marriage and my relationships? And I've been married now for 22 years I've been married. And I put that as my greatest achievement. It's my marriage of 22 years, right? It takes work. So I'm always seeking greater impact. And success to me is something that still drives me, but I think it's measured more in significance. Like, how much impact can I create with a certain program or business or book or even podcast episode? I love hearing it from you. This is why I'm doing a Q&A today, because I love when I get questions from you so I can really speak to you on that. I measure success by significance, because if you tell me that an episode impacted you to go take action to live your divine purpose, part of my purpose now is to empower others to empower others. My job, my role, my divine purpose is to empower coaches, teachers, doctors, attorneys, leaders, entrepreneurs, empower others, those to empower others. So success is finding something you're really, really passionate about, or something that, even as Dave Ramsey would say, really irks you or burns you, that you want to solve. And the thing that's keeping me up these days, I might as well share. Back to episode 1 is this thing that's really irking me and keeping me up, the thing that's burning me, is kids who are struggling in the suicide epidemic that we're having. Mental health for kids. It's not a mistake that I had pump and pray and preach last week on the episode. Go back and listen to that. If not, it pains me. It hurts me when these kids are taking their life. Kids, there's hope. Can you hear me? Can you feel me? There's hope. Reach out. Not having hope that there will be some sunshine and rainbows someday. Giving up hope. Do not give up hope, my friends. Any of you. At the end of the day, I guess when I really think about what is success, success is when my Lord and Savior says this: well done, good and faithful servant. When I tried you the most, you were obedient to my commands. Well done, good and faithful servant. When I tried you the most, when you were most challenged, you were obedient to my commands. To me, that is success. Deep question, Luke Bryan. Wow. Number 4, Tyler Anstey. Speaking of which, great episode right there. Go back just a few episodes. Listen to Tyler Anstey, police officer, right? Talking about mental health and how he was suicidal and what he does to overcome and battle mental health. Now, Cooper's dad, Tyler, is his Instagram. Follow him. Brother is on fire right now. I love it. And this podcast helps shine a light on a very important topic: mental health, physical health, emotional health, all of these things. He asked, TD, what are your top 5 favorite books? All right, I'm gonna bang these out quick. Okay, ready? Get ready. I'll put them in the show notes, I guess, too. But here they are: Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. By the way, these are my top 5 favorite books of all time. The ones that have impacted me the most: Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. John Gordon's Hard Hat. John Gordon, I love you, brother. Thank you for all the prolific work you put out there. Hard Hat. I like the Energy Bus. I love Training Camp. But Hard Hat, I really, really loved Hard Hat. You don't know who John Gordon is? Follow him. Robin Sharma, the monk who sold his Ferrari. Robin Sharma, I've been studying for over a decade. I've coached with Robin. I think he's one of the more prolific authors of our day. And he does a lot of soulful writing. Robin Sharma, the monk who sold his Ferrari, on that. Traction by Gino Wickman. If you're looking for a great business book, Traction impacted me greatly. And the 5th one I put down, top 5 favorite books. There's so many. I probably have like 50 of them. The Motivation Manifesto by Brendan Burchard. I love Brendan's work. Motivation Manifesto spoke to me. I'm a mindset guy. I love the work that Brendan does, but Motivation Manifesto, I'm putting in my top 5. And then I needed to have some and then some. These are my top few in the last year, from the last year. Arthur C. Brooks, From Strength to Strength, Finding Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment in the Second Half of Your Life. Arthur was on the podcast. Go back and listen to that episode. I'll put it in the show notes. From Strength to Strength, Finding Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment. Great book. I listened to it audio, and then I read it, and then had him on the podcast. Richard Carlson's book, Slow Down to the Speed of Life. My mentor, Wayne Cotton, highly recommended I read this book. He was like, TD, you need to slow down to the speed of life. I'm like, that's a good title. He's like, yeah, it's a book by Richard Carlson and Joseph Bailey, Slow Down to the Speed of Life. Closely related in the last year, I read Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. Love that book by Ryan Holiday. Another great author. Ryan's work, I love it. Ryan, thank you for the work that you put in to your all of your books. But Stillness is the Key is deep. The ninth one, I'm going with 5 here, is Forward by my man, Dr. David Jeremiah, Pastor Jeremiah. I think that was like his 60th book, Discovering God's Presence and Purpose in Your Tomorrow. So in the last year, in trying to look forward, moving forward from all of the last 3 years of craziness. Can I get an amen, anybody? But Pastor J, Dr. J, Forward is the name of the book, Discovering God's Presence and Purpose in Your Tomorrow. Great book, along with his devotionals. I read his devotional every morning. He's got great devotionals that if you're just looking for a quick hitter on a daily basis, any of Pastor Jeremiah's devotionals are awesome. And the 10th one is Soul Fuel. Great title, Soul Fuel by Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls. Yeah, that guy, the guy with a TV show. I didn't even know Bear Grylls was a Christian, but Bear Grylls has a great book called Soul Fuel. Soul Fuel. Read it. It's one of my top ones. I've been really diving in the last year. And what am I reading now? I had to put these in extra because I read all the time. I'm reading a book called Quiet Plans, Exciting Results, 47 Trusted Secrets to Big Business Success by my man, David Sider. I'm actually coaching him in my Impact X program. I'm going to have him on an upcoming podcast, but I just am reading this book now, and it's awesome. 47 Trusted Secrets to Big Business Success. This man is a M&A attorney, mergers and acquisitions attorney, specializing in succession planning. That's going to be a good podcast. What the B3 Happened by my man, Dr. Mike DeBoard, all on BFR training. This is a nice quick read. Just got it in the mail yesterday as I record this, all about the benefits of BFR, blood flow restriction, which I've been using for a year and a half now, and absolutely love it, swear by it, endorse it, use it with myself and my athletes. But what the B3 happened in that. And Larry Indiviglia's sister just wrote a book as well. And I'm really, really excited for Larry and his sister. Larry wrote the foreword on that. And the last one on the books, the Bible is the one I've read the most because what's the book? The Bible. So, I had to say that, right? It's the Bible is the book I've read the most. So there you have it. Tyler Ansey, great questions. I gave you 10. Plus the 3 I'm reading now and the one I've read the most. There you go on that. And the fifth and final question from Instagram, RJF11450, the Birdman, Dickie Frank. Now, as I come here, I'm going to grab this football. If you watch on YouTube, you can see it. But if you can't see it, I'm holding a football in my hand right now from the one and only Dickie Frank. It says presented to Coach Todd Durkin. It's from Brick Football. And when you get a game ball, he's the man who not only a coach, but he would paint and does paint all of the game balls for the players and or coaches from this. This is from a state championship, the first state championship that I actually was a coach in with Coach Wolf in 1994. But Coach Frank has been a longtime friend and follower and listener of our show. And he says, I'm getting ready for spinal fusion here in April, L3, L4, L5. I need some help eradicating pain and depression. It's been a year-long process, and I need some positive vibes, Todd. Any wisdom? Well, first off, Coach Frank, thank you for sharing that. For any of you who either have had surgery or are going to have surgery, especially when it involves the spine, I know that it can really wreak havoc on one's mindset. Have you ever been in pain before? I have. I've had multiple episodes with serious back injury, and someday I'm going to need a serious spinal surgery myself. But thank God, not now. I thought I was there in 2021 and 2022, so I get it, Dickie, as far as the pain that you feel. I think pain, when you're in pain, it consumes your mindset. It consumes your energy. And yes, pain can be downright depressing. I probably ought to share a podcast just on this and where I was at in that time when I was most broken. And I had different episodes where I've alluded to it, but man, it could be deep, because how do you eradicate pain and depression? Well, what you don't do. Let me start with what you don't do. And this isn't necessarily for Dickie, but this is for what many folks would go toward when they're in pain. This is a general type thing. Don't drink alcohol, don't smoke marijuana, and don't pound painkillers. Alcohol, painkillers, drugs will actually numb you temporarily, but actually sets you up for a downward spiral when it comes to getting out of a depression. So when it comes to drinking alcohol, smoking weed, pounding painkillers, any of this is going to, short term, it could numb your pain, but it's not going to cure your problem, right? So what do? Number one, you move your body. Now, when I had my knee surgeries and my back injury back in 2020, 2021, 2022, sometimes going for a walk was hard. I get it. I understand. Fine thing. That's how I got into the BFR. That's how I got into blood flow restriction with just talking about B3 is because of that. I couldn't train the way I wanted to train. So you find ways to work around it. Right? If your knees are hurting, then get your upper body worked. If your upper body's hurting, work your lower body. Go for a walk. Number two, meditation and breath work. Can y'all take a deep breath right now, please? Even if you're working out, take a deep breath. If you're driving, take a deep breath. If you're flying, if whatever you're doing right now, just take a couple deep breaths in and out. And as you're doing that, meditation and breath work is going to really help induce the parasympathetic nervous system to relax you so you're not in fight or flight, which is going to, when you're in fight or flight, release endorphins and release things that are actually could make you even tighter and more anxious. Third thing is journaling. When you are in pain and when you are either heading for surgery or after surgery, make journaling a part of the rehab process, not just physical therapy, but physical therapy is great, but I also want you to have some emotional therapy. Journaling, whether it be with free flow, with journaling in your journal, or even using, I've got obviously our impact journal. And then when you're done with the impact journal, morning and evening, that is a discipline. Then write down your thoughts of where you're scared, what you need to release, and the things that are going to help you deal with pain. The fourth, make sure you have a good medical team. When you're in pain and you got a problem going on, make sure you have a great medical team that can help you. Your doctors, your allopathic doctors, your naturopathic doctors, your physical therapist. If you have a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, sometimes you need that as well to help you get through a tough time in your life. All of this is part of your medical team, right? Number five, any hacks that you could do, I share them in episode 263. So if you're in pain or when you're in pain, hop back to that, because I've done everything from stem cells to epidurals every 3 months to BP 157 I talk about, to what I still do now with the BFR, so that I can get great workouts in without lifting crazy heavy weights that are going to mess up my joints and put me back into pain. And lastly, number six, I'd say you got to make sure you continue to battle to get your mind right. You got to battle every dang day to get your mind right. Listen to good podcasts. Listen to motivational messages. You must battle. It is a battle between the ears to win that battle every darn day. Can you feel me? If you're in pain, you got to snap it, literally snap it, so that you get that battle. And while you're battling, sometimes you're going to be brought to your knees and you pray. The seventh aspect is prayer. Okay, so what you do, those 7 things, is pray, because sometimes you give up hope. I don't want you to give up hope, because when you pray, you know there's a God greater than you that can get us out of any ditch, any hole that we may be in, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We pray for that. So, Coach Frank, or anyone right now, you just got to get to the other side of surgery and you attack the rehab. You honor that healing process. And the healing, for me, it's like there's these segments: 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, and 6 to 12 months. In 2 weeks, you turn a corner. 2 weeks, you turn a corner, and then you kind of get out of acute pain. 6 weeks, all of a sudden, you're like, man, I feel good. I'm me again. 3 months out, 12 weeks, you're like, okay, now I'm really ready to rock and roll. 6 months of after even a major surgery, you're typically feeling like $1,000,000, and you're very grateful and thankful that the highly skilled hands of that surgeon, if it was surgery that was necessary, you are even more grateful, and you recognize that you've got a new you as well. So again, if you want more on healing, check out episode 263. It's my 6 hacks in my routine for healing after knee surgery back then. And episodes 140 and 141 as well. Episode 140 was my last workout before knee surgery. And episode 141, nutrition, recovery, and mindset to expedite healing. So I have done a fair amount on that. But man, Coach Frank, go crush your rehab, get to the other side. And if you're going through pain today, I hope this helps you as well. My friends, that's a wrap on today's Q&A episode. Realize this: if you didn't ask the questions, I wouldn't have the answers. So I'd have them, but they'd be staying inside of me versus sharing with you. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or even all 5 spoke to you today. If they did, can you please share this episode? I love doing Q&A. I tend to do Q&As every few months. So if you hit me up on my text community, remember my text community, the number 619-304-2216 with your cell phone right now. If you were to get your cell phone out and text me and you subscribe to that, you're going to get texts from me maybe once a week or so. I'll start texting you up, unless you ask me a question, and I can use it for a future episode. Here's the number again, 619-304-2216. That's my text community. It's completely free. So, man, if you're a subscriber to the podcast, you might as well get some additional motivation and inspiration as well. And remember, I got to say, those Impact Schollies are available for you graduating high school seniors. Man, it's a great time of the year. It's the springtime, and we all got a little extra bounce in our step. So Steve Wiley, thank you. Mason Thompson, 69, thank you. Luke Bryan, Z33, thank you. RJF11450 on Instagram. The Birdman, Dickie Frank, thank you so much for all of your questions today. And of course, Tyler Anstey, Cooper Daz Tyler, thank you for your questions. Keep your questions flowing. DM me any question on Instagram, or just text me on up. I will see that. 619-304-2216. You'll have an incredible day. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Yes, pump and pray from last week, but pump and pray never, ever stops. Until next time, remember, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact.